Hello and welcome to Keeping It Real with T&L. I'm Coach Ty and I'm here with Coach Lori. And today we're going to talk about the first ever MetFix Seminar. This is a big deal. So we're not going to go into all the details of MetFix just yet, but Coach Lori is going to explain the whole entire rundown if you've never heard of it. But before we hop into that, let's talk about the seminar and everything.
Okay, so it was an incredible event. It really exceeded all expectations. A bonus was that it was at Rogue headquarters in Columbus, Ohio. So other than lots of flight delays and not getting much sleep before the first day of the seminar, it was phenomenal. Like Rogue headquarters is huge. It's so big that every time the Lyft or Uber would take me, it would drop me off at a separate place from there's all these entrances, and I'd be like power walking like quarter mile to get to where I need to go. It's big. It's a few city blocks. It's pretty amazing. And it's kind of out remote from everything, but the inside of it is cool. And I got to do 4 workouts in 2 days there, through the first day and 1 second. So
you have to work out at Rogue headquarters?
Yes.
That's a big deal.
Some merch, bring you back some merch.
Sure, yes.
Sure, I had to order this online because they didn't have it in the size there that I needed, but that's the beauty of Rogue. Whether you're there or here, you can go Rogue. Well, that's nice.
The shirt you bought back for me fit me just fine, so I greatly appreciate that. Thank you so much.
And we're not even getting paid by Rogue. We're just really impressed with their equipment and merch. Beautiful things. I'll tell you this. So before I left for the seminar, we through our I have an account for Broken Science, Med Society, and MetFix. I sign into all that. They sent me this amazing thing. There was a prep course, and then there was 26 modules for 52 weeks of continued learning. And I went through all of it before I went because none of my degrees are in science. I get all the functional medicine, I know about the Krebs cycle and different things, but I knew we were going to be digging deep into mitochondria and cellular function and all this stuff. So I did a crash course of 48 hours before flying out because I wanted to make sure I could keep up with everything.
Wow. So prior to the course, there was literally a 26-piece module or 26 modules. Was that basically going to be going over what you guys are going to be covering? Or
it was all the different things. Yeah.
Oh my God.
And then there's continued reading, extra stuff you can do within each little section. What they've put together is superior to anything I've come across in college, grad school, or any of the certs I've done through Science for Health or with CrossFit, anything else. It's really in a league of its own.
So this is the holy grail of understanding when it comes to the whole entire health and basically from start to finish.
Yeah. I feel like I should go buy some beakers and set up science. Just kidding. No, I mean, I'm not like that, but it was really amazing because I was keeping up. And when there was something I was confused about, I wasn't afraid to ask. And then that really helped us in our breakaway groups, talk about more things and stuff. So all in all, it was good. Yeah. So.
Well, let's start. Like I was saying, guys. So this was the first MetFix seminar. So if you haven't heard about MetFix or what it is, Coach Lori, tell us all about MetFix and what is the difference between MetFix and CrossFit.
Yeah.
And then let's start from there.
Yeah. So owning a CrossFit, being a level 2 CrossFit coach and all other certs I've done with them. And now I'm a MetFix affiliate in addition to, and taking this, it's really different. I know everybody wants to simmer it down or shit talk about, it's the same thing with a different name, but it's not. Where the overlap is Greg Glassman and Emily Kaplan co-founded the Broken Science a few years back. Okay. They're both brilliant in the world of medicine and science and research and different things like that. And it's a continuation of where Greg left off in 2020 when he had to sell CrossFit, right? So if you guys remember, the end of 2019, there was a 10-plus year affiliate gathering in Whistler, British Columbia. Tim and I were there. We met Glassman. I talked to him. I told him how through CrossFit and CrossFit San Ramon, I was able to cure my autoimmune disease that was incurable, all these things. It was amazing. And we had this 3.5-hour lecture. And it was about the 5 buckets of death. And it always stuck with me, right? So he was really digging into the health aspect of stuff. And then we had that old movie set, that from the 70s living room where the elderly people were working on movements because CrossFit is really important for functional movement. So that I always say my tagline is, I want to get off the toilet by myself when I'm 90. So I keep working out even when I'm tired and don't feel like it, right? And so in 2020, he was pushing for that shift, less focus on the games and more focus on health and chronic disease and illness, right?
Yeah.
And then COVID hit, and everything is everything, and it is what it is. But the blessing is that Greg and Emily started this. Then, after the Broken Science Initiative came the BSI Medical Society. So you can be a doctor, you can be a patient, you could be a chiropractor, any medical professional, or someone that needs to have some understanding of how to advocate for yourself within medicine because it's so broken, right? You can be a part of that. So I'm actually a patient in the medical society because even though I do functional medicine, I'm not like an MD, but I'm talking to these doctors, I'm learning, I'm going to their webinars. I haven't missed one, and I've actually been asked to put on a webinar for that. So I'll be doing that in July. And then after that came MetFix, right? Which is the affiliate. So the soldiers on the ground who are the evolution of the revolution, right? We are leading the charge because chronic disease and illness makes up of at least 80% of death in this country and takes anywhere from like 85 to 95% of budget in healthcare. And it's just like, guys, this is the part that we have a lot of control over. So MetFix takes you from the mitochondria all the way up, like why things are happening the way they are in the body, how different foods and things affect that. We don't spend any time going over what we've already learned in a level 1 of CrossFit, right? We know all that, but we do talk about why the workouts affect us in different ways, which we'll talk about too. So that's really how it started, and how MetFix came to be. And I know there are more things in the work that we'll talk about when they come out for different, like, societies under Broken Science Initiative. But it really came at a perfect time because during COVID, if you were halfway awake at any point, you were like, none of this is adding up. Like, what are they doing with this? This isn't vetted. Any other vaccine, like ones that failed, like that when Moderna tried to make that cancer mRNA vaccine and it never made it out because like 2 people died and 2 got cancer, and we're like watching tens of thousands of people dying from the shot, right? So you were starting to ask yourself, like, where are we going with this? Like, if it's about being healthy, why am I stuck in a home and you're closing down my beaches? If it's about health, why can't I go into my gym?
Yeah.
Gavin Newsom's gym stayed open in California. Like, it's like, it's crazy. There was no rhyme or reason. His restaurant was open. Nancy Pelosi getting her hair done. Like, and so people were like, we have really got to take a good look at these medical journals and this research and ask ourselves, is it duplicatable? Is it replicatable? Is it true? And then tens of thousands, just like journal after research, paper after whatever, were just like debunked because they couldn't be duplicated. One woman, the one who created like the holy grail for Alzheimer's, right? Sure. There was never even a study for her paper, but she knew she could make it work. And all these doctors, their whole life are like following this path to, eradicate this horrible, horrible disease, which is referred to as type 3 diabetes now, right? Alzheimer's and dementia. And there was like nothing even there. And then she gets called out on it. She's like, my bad, but I think we can do it. And then no one talks about it. So Broken Science Initiative is on a mission to bring like health and wellness through truth and understanding and help individuals like you and I have discernment, critical thinking, and like advocate for ourselves. Because how many times have you gone to a doctor and then are like 7 prescriptions later and you're like, but why am I sick? Or why does my thyroid not work? Or why am I having headaches? Like, what? Don't give me an Advil. Like, what is causing this? Is it? And they're like, or, hey, why am I obese? Because you're lazy and you eat too much. Like, that's always the answer, which is not why anybody's obese, right? So this is the mission we're on. Like this, all these societies that are Broken Science are like one big group of like-minded individuals with a common goal. And it's grassroots. We're going to save one person at a time. And like I was quoted in my video they recorded, like, yes, we're going to be taking the world stage, and I'll be bold. Like, we're healthcare now. We know what makes you healthy and what doesn't, and we know how to heal you and fix you. So let's go. That's MetFix, right?
I love that so much. Well, one, because you and I both know the issues with people putting out the false information.
Oh.
And that's just because that is something that you, even prior to MetFix, you dealing with clients as well as me, probably even Tim, but having people come in and say what they heard.
Oh yeah.
Or what they know, and like, no, that's not right. Even though we're clearly looking at them, able to see them obese, they still haven't figured out, but somehow they know. And it's because of these individuals who are putting out this information that they're obviously eating up.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, red meat causes diabetes. I can't eat that. And they're justifying their actions. And now we are coming to find out some of these experiments weren't even done or completed.
Yeah.
That's basically like, that's like the Winchester Mystery House where the stairs lead to nowhere.
Yeah.
It's like, go upstairs. Oh, they don't. It's just nonsense.
Yeah.
Like I'm just sending you down this road of nothingness.
Yeah. It's so devastating because anyone watching this and anyone in this room and you and I, like, we've all lost someone to cancer or, pick any disease like type 2 diabetes that gets out of control, type 1, people, their thyroid, they get thyroid disease and then everything else starts shutting down because the autoimmune diseases just keep stacking, right? And you're like, why does this keep happening? Why are we plugging billions a year into research and we're nowhere closer to curing cancer, right?
Yeah.
Because if we only look at it as a genetic problem, which is where most of the funding goes, then you're ignoring all the rest of the research, like Thomas Seyfried said, it's mitochondrial metabolic dysfunction. And how he gives someone glioblastoma 10 years of life. And our friend died in like less than a year, maybe a little over a year from that. Ollie, who worked out here, had that. Right? So it's just like, okay, if we're ignoring the things where scientists and researchers who are not in bed with big pharma, basically, right, are finding all this stuff out, why are we not looking more into that? Like, why are we not getting closer to a cure of any of it, right?
Yeah. Why is it that after all of these years, the exact same things that we remember hearing about, we still seem to not have solved?
Yeah.
I could literally speak into the air and have my air conditioning come on, my music play, my spa start,
everything.
But you can't tell me why I feel this way or why my body, which is the oldest thing on the planet, humans, and you still haven't solved this. Yeah, something is clearly wrong with that.
Yeah.
I would think that this would be something that there's cures.
Yeah.
There's ways.
There's ways.
With all of the technology and research that we have. Now, I know that you may not know the exact answer, but you kind of hinted to it with the big pharma. But do you think that's why some of these experiments are being pushed out to the public that are known to be false, or how do you think that these are even getting out there? And then obviously, if I know that Glassman's been writing journals since the early 2000s saying all these things.
Yeah.
So how is it that his seems to stay down there in I don't want to call it like the on the ground, and all these other ones are like New York Post says this just happened, or study shown in Time magazine that sugar is now healthy and Lucky Charms are good. How does this happen? Like, how do these filter up and the true stuff seem to filter down?
Like money and power. Absolutely, right? So when it was Rockefeller industrialized medicine, right? Petroleum byproducts, and that's when all the natural things that my great-great-grandparents, who I never met, but have been using to heal, real food. There were chemicals on stuff. They weren't ingesting things that were like industrial grade oils like we eat every day now. And it's like a self-feeding machine. So if medicine is just about like a symptom care, the Band-Aid I talk about, like no Band-Aid approach. I don't want a Band-Aid, like fix the problem, right? But they're like, no. The Band-Aid approach is great because then you're a lifer of medicine and doing stuff. So give me two people, a guy and a girl that got on blood pressure medication and the doctor was willing to take them off even when they changed their lifestyle. I know zero. And I have a lot of patients with that. I have a lot of members with that. I've never met someone who's come off where their doctor was like, yes, let's get you off the medication. I've known people that have stopped taking it, but I've never known a person whose doctor's like, hey, good job. You were on it for, 17 years and now we're going to just take it off and see how your body does on its own, because it's never fixing anything, right? Like my client's husband who had 3 gallbladder stones, and Kaiser's like, we should probably take those out in like a week or two. Let's remove your gallbladder, the whole organ. Which is not just the stone. Like, let's just take out your gallbladder. And I was like, let's not. Give me a chance. And I wrote an e-script. I gave her alicillin for him, the liver gallbladder complex, to help support one another. Put him on a really like medical grade probiotic just to make sure the gut was doing okay. And it was one other thing. This was like 2 years ago. So within like 5 weeks, the ultrasound 2 were gone, and the last one was like so tiny. It didn't even
Hold the
count.
phone.
Yeah, no, seriously. I'm not, I mean, one of these days we'll have her and him on the phone. It was just like, hey, let's take out your gallbladder. Hey, let's try a few natural things, and then the stones went away, and now.
Time out.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure if anyone isn't listening, you're listening right now. This is the time. So you had a patient who came to you
About her husband, who wasn't even my patient.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. And Kaiser was like, "We're going to take out the whole thing."
Taking it out. Let's go.
And you gave him some natural things.
Yeah.
And the stones literally began to, I don't want to say, but like pulverize themselves, basically. They went away. What'd you do? That's a story in itself, because that would have possibly changed that guy's life.
Yeah.
Where everything would have been completely different.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, it's just like, it's common sense. Okay. So how are you living? How's your nutrition now? How's your weight? Tell me about, explain his body. Does he carry weight around the organs? Yeah. Okay. Well, let's put him on paleo, because that's anti-inflammatory. Okay. Let's put in the alicillin, which is like high concentration of garlic. That's like it's like a antibiotic without all the crap of the antibiotic, right? Okay. Like the time you got sick and I gave you something, it kicked it right out, right?
Yeah.
Coach Rose had some MRSA and it kicked it right out. Like, it's so easy. It's ridiculous, and it's almost embarrassing, because I feel like I'm not anything special. I'm just like putting together like pieces of a 10-piece puzzle at this point. And then the liver and gallbladder are like essential to one another, right? Like biles and this and that, and your liver is how you detox, and things get backed up, and it's like, well, let's put them on the liver gallbladder too and get that symbiotic relationship going, so they're helping each other out. And that was really all it took. I didn't even put exercise in the mix for him, because it was sort of uncomfortable. It was just like, go paleo, like your wife and daughter are doing, because they were 2 of my patients, right? And let's try this and let's go.
Wow.
Yeah. So these are the things, but you don't get that. Like, you go to a doctor and there's no other option.
Yeah. Like
when I was diagnosed with Hashimoto's, there was no option. You're going to be on thyroid meds until you die, which will be soon, because they tank your liver. So it's like, yeah, and then you need a liver medication, and then you need a blood pressure medication, because your body's all out of whack. And it's like, it's a self-feeding machine, right? And the people, we could go on and on forever with that, but I think that is the breakdown, is that there's so much money and research, and a great portion of that research is bullshit, and more just like, we see money laundering in California, and that, like, high-speed rail, Yeah. But if you really think of it in terms of that, like, where's it really going?
No, I absolutely. I remember even talking about that for I forget if it was episode 5 or 6, but it was the one where we spoke about some of these false studies. Yeah. And I remember that the Harvard scientist who did run the red meat was being obviously paid by the and the vegetarian industry, those other things.
It's crazy.
So he was obviously putting out these experiments to support their cause, and obviously he's getting those kickbacks. Yeah, that was later found out, and then he's obviously quoted later on saying, "Well, yeah, sugar and all these things are the true cause of diabetes." So basically, people are just paying for larger companies, larger people are paying to make sure that their message gets put across, even if it's disguised under the guise of true science. Yeah,
and then that's what makes like the whole MetFix, like what we're saying, is not controversial. Like, we know the truth in health, but a lot of people don't realize that doctors and registered dietitians and nurses, like, they have 0 to maybe like 8 hours of training in nutrition, and they're still on the old school, like, fake Harvard study mindset. So, like, my neighbor had a heart attack. She's like, no red meat, canola oil is good. Like, all the stuff that kills you is what her doctor has her on after her heart attack. And yeah, I mean, it's tough. And so, I have no problem putting my neck on the line if it saves people. Like, I'll say the truth. I'm uncancelable. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not really worried about, I'm not in here like, oh my God, what are we do right now? Even in the heart of like cancel culture central of California, like, I'm not worried about it, because what we're doing to help people is so much more important than the shade that will be thrown on me for doing this. But, biology and science, real science and biology, how cells work and how food works in the body, that we'll talk about in the part 2 of this episode in depth, right? Like, there's no arguing that. It's just a shame that nobody's training the doctors. But we have a lot of doctors coming on with MetFix. There was a doctor at the seminar in Ohio.
That's huge.
Yeah, it was really great. Like this is the thing. Like you need to understand, if you're in any facet of healthcare and you sense what's wrong with it, like go to brokenscience.org and check it out and be a member, be a part of it. Get on the webinars, get all the information, be that sponge that's absorbing what the real deal is doing all over the planet now, right?
Absolutely.
Like, yeah, MetFix is global now. We're not just the United States anymore. So
that's amazing.
This is where we're at. Yeah.
That's so cool. So tell me what it was like at the Rogue headquarters HQ. I know that you touched on size, but talk about obviously what it was like there and what it was like going through that.
Yeah, it was really fantastic because, well, our whole gym is like Rogue Central, right?
Yeah.
Tim's story, it's pretty funny. When he opened the gym, the owner would take his order, like, over the phone and ship it to him. Before it was this big conglomerate like it is now, like when it was just a mom and pop thing. So, almost 17 years of this gym housing Rogue stuff was cool. So it's sort of like meaningful that way. It's beautiful. The showroom, where people can come in and work out and try stuff out. It's probably a little bit bigger than all 3 sections of our gym, but wide open. Okay. And all the roll-up doors that take you out. We could run outside. I saw their new rowers. They're huge. The Rogue rowers, big tires. I had one of my 2 workouts. That was like we had a 7-minute AMRAP, a 3-minute break, and a 7-minute AMRAP. It was one workout, 2 components. Was rowing and then burpees over the rower, and my little legs were like, "What are we doing right now?" I'm like, "Wait a minute, I'm gonna clip that and holy crap and myself and hit the one next to me," but I didn't. So that was a good moment. And they were just so gracious. They were so nice to open that up for us. We were locked. There was a door between us and the showroom. So Saturday that business is open. People come in to see it and all that good stuff. It's just good people doing great things, making great equipment. So it was kind of like special to have that as a setting for the first one. I thought that was pretty cool.
I thought that is very cool. And it's almost like like you said, it's almost like a coming back to where it started. Like obviously with
all the equipment
without CrossFit Rogue, who knows where Rogue is?
Yeah.
So now let me ask you this though. Talk about some of the workouts, because you're telling me that these workouts were not just, hey, let's come and just, here's the WOD, let's go. It sounds like they were explained in depth to exactly what system was being worked.
Yep.
As well as what, like, basically almost a science behind the workout. So it's science is
great,
but even the workout.
Yeah, I love that. It was the deeper understanding of everything. Like some people you can tell them stuff and they're like, I'm not buying it. And then you get a little bit deeper and they're like, okay. And then you're like drawing mitochondria and showing how things work and they're like, okay, I get it. You know what you're talking about, right? And the workouts were like that too. So Chris Russell, phenomenal guy. I had already been following him online. He came up and recognized me when I got there, introduced himself. His wife's there too. They're part of the Academy staff. The Academy staff is like phenomenal. They're top notch.
Really?
Like, yeah, I can aspire to be as great, half as great as any of them on there. And so he wrote up 3 different workouts for the first day. And I made notes because for those of you that don't know me, I did Ohio one weekend and then 4.5 days later flew out to Illinois for the 2 Brain business. Got up at 2 a.m. Monday, flew home, and I've not stopped yet. So I want to make sure that I'm not missing anything or screwing anything up. So the first one was about cadence, max wattage or cadence on machines. So we had C2 rower, and then we had like the Rogue Echo bike, right?
Okay.
That kind of thing. And so we kind of warm up 30 seconds, ride a bit, and there were 3 of us cycling on. And then you go 10 seconds as hard as you can go, and you get your watts. Take 70% of that, and then for 5 rounds of 30 seconds, you try to keep that wattage where it's at, right? So this is the glycolytic pathway, and we're at 70% of our output, and it's anaerobic and moderate intensity. Although for those of us on the C2 bike, not with any arm help, we were like, it felt like super high intensity on our quads. Like it was crazy. I'm so glad we stretched well after that. And so that was the first workout. And the way it worked is like we'd learn a few things and we'd have a workout. Then we go back and learn a few things, have lunch, and then we had the next workout, which we haven't done a while in CrossFit Santa Ramon. And I told Tim we need to bring it back. And that is slips. Okay. It's about coordination, accuracy, agility, and balance. It's aerobic and low intensity.
Okay.
So you've got your, I should have just wrote them all down. Inversion, you get up in the handstand, hold it up, come down, and then bring the legs down slowly, kind of thing, if you can do it. We have some stretching in there. We also have where you put your arms out and your legs straight in front of you and you hold it for like 20 to 30 seconds. And then everything is skeptical.
Is this on the parallettes or
you can do the parallettes for the actual L sit too.
Okay.
But no, like when you're up, I'll just show you right now. Here we go. So like I'm here and then I hold it up for like 30 seconds. And then I'm like here and I hold it out for like 30 seconds straight leg and we're adjusting everything. And so it's doing a lot for the body. And especially like for our members that want to get better at gymnastics or all the different things that take a lot of core or like, lockout stuff. It's great to do. And it's great for special populations that like 60 and up or people that are like sick because you could take them through all the skills of the movement and give them that static hold of things and different things and stability and balance. We forget about balance so much, but it's so important, right?
No, absolutely. Balance is huge. I don't want to dive into that because I was going to go on a tangent, but you're absolutely right. No, balance is something that should be focused on.
Yeah. So have you ever like any coach or person who's done this, a single leg Romanian deadlift? And people are like,
yeah,
like the bike falling down over the kickstand. Yeah, like these are the things. I have clients that I make them do them quite often, more for balance than seriously. Yeah, seriously. So, there's things, and it's very important because, as we age, if we don't take care of ourselves, things start to go to the wayside. So keeping up on balance to me is just as important as strength and cardio.
Absolutely. So what was workout number 3?
It was deadlifting 5x3. It was anaerobic and highest possible intensity. So as we built up, we were going heavy. It was actually crazy. I was with 2 women, and then we made 2 bars because the one CrossFit woman and I, her name escapes me. I'm sorry. She was like, "Let's go heavier. Let's go heavier." And the other woman had never done this before. She was just trying out a MetFix Seminar. She does yoga and other things. And so we'd all take turns coaching each other. And then all of a sudden there's like 225 on the bar and I'm repping it out. And my heaviest deadlift in the system was like, when I get to 216 or something. And then I came back and did the 1 rep max when you were on vacation. And when I get to 240, which was my heaviest of my life.
Wow.
And I know you're thinking, Lori, why can't you do more deadlift? It's after the back surgery that I had before CrossFit. Like I just have like one disc barely hanging on my lower back. So I never really pushed a deadlift because when things get too tight, it pulls me out of position and my back aches, right?
Yeah. You mean to tell me that you were repping out 225 just nonchalantly?
Yeah.
Like during that training? Yeah,
but I swear it's more than that. It's the energy because you're surrounded by these people that are all like-minded and supportive. They're like family. Like I miss them. Like I was sad to leave. Like just great people that all have a common bond and theme of what they're trying to do. Just love on people and heal them and make people healthy, right?
Yeah.
So I think the energy and the excitement and just going for it. Like I wasn't worried about what was on the bar. I was into being with new friends and doing stuff in that community. So I think that's what made 225 for multiple reps not hard at all.
That's so
my guess.
That is so freaking cool. So that's it. I know that this is part 1 of us going over the whole entire MetFix and that whole experience being one of the first seminar members, as well as everyone already knows that you're one of the first 100 chosen. But part 2 of this, I'm assuming, is going to be all of the amazing things that you probably learned. Yeah, we're going to dig into some science. What do you got? What do you got for us? I'm just kind of curious. Okay, so sneak peek, the fitness in 100 words. Eat meat and vegetables. It's been upgraded. It's been perfected. So there's a few minor tweaks to it and a few additions, and I'll tell you that. And then we'll answer. It's like the Magna Carta. I didn't change. It's like if the Bible was like Jesus, like wait, this is, and then we did it. And we're just gonna keep we're good. So, and then like the questions we always get are why is it some days I'm always hungry? I never feel full, or why is it after I eat certain things my energy just tanks? Or my favorite question, because it's so frustrating for so many people, and I love to unwind it for them, is why is it I can't lose weight no matter what I do? And like spoiler alert, it's not
your genetics, right? Like
Wow, okay.
it's yeah. So we'll talk about all that in the next episode.
Those are actually some of life's biggest questions.
No,
Like, I'm not joking.
legitimate. I know people, yeah, especially with what we do. Even when we weren't, think about this, even when you're not a coach, trainer, all the different things that you're just tight out the world, people always talk about their weight and their strength and their health, right? Like it comes up all the time.
Yes.
We haven't shut people up with that like we have politics and religion.
Yeah.
We can still talk about our body weight and how we feel and what we do in the gym.
Yeah.
So we hear it all the time, definitely.
I love that. So guys, please make sure this was part 1 of the whole MetFix experience. Part 2 is going to be diving deep into all of the new knowledge that Coach Lori learned on this amazing experience. Make sure you guys tune into the next episode.
All right. Stay classy, stay Ramon. We'll see you next time.
See you
Thank
guys.
you.